Ordinance separates. Ordinance kills. Ordinance creates enmity. Actually, dear ones, Christianity is just divided by ordinances.
Right.
It is just the ordinance that divides us. Now, what ordinance do we have? We have to tell people we have no ordinance. We have no ordinance. We have no ordinance. Why? Because on the cross, Christ has what? Abolished all the ordinances. Okay, let's go on. So, you must consider this matter very serious.
Amen.
Because an ordinance creates even enmity. It not only builds up a separation, a division, but it creates hatred. It creates enmity. Just because, I'm so good with all, and all's good with me. We two brothers have been fellowshipping for years and years. Right now, just he's for shouting, I'm not for shouting. He's for shouting, I'm against shouting. Eventually, what I know? Eventually, this little ordinance builds up what? A kind of enmity between us. Am I right? I just couldn't love him. And he just hates me. There is a term that is called religious jealousy. Religious jealousy is terrible. Religious jealousy even kills people. According to history, a lot of martyrdoms just because of religious jealousy.
Right.
You love something in religion, I hate this something. And eventually, this builds up a kind of what? Jealousy.
Right.
A kind of hatred. So we must see through. This is the subtlety of the murderer, Satan.
Right.
This is subtlety. We must hate the very ordinance. Just go along with all the saints. Go along with all the saints. As long as there's no sin, as long as there's no idol, as long as there's no immorality, we just go along. You see? That doesn't mean we love these things, but this means we just go along with the saints. As long as there's no idol, no immorality, to show our willingness to go along with them. You see? It is by this way to what? To keep away any kinds of ordinance. There's no ordinance. I'm happy. Whether you shout, you don't shout. I'm happy. Whether you sing hymns, you don't sing hymns. I'm happy. Whether you are silent, you are not silent. I'm still happy. Am I right? We must see this through. Okay. Now B. The breaking down of the middle wall partition. Number one, how to break down the middle wall of partition. Number one, by abolishing the law of commandments in ordinance. This is not to abolish the law of moral commandments, but the law of the ritual commandments. Amen. Right? Ordinances are the forms or ways of living and worship. Ordinances are the forms and ways of living and worship. Every people, collective, every race has a way of their living. and have their way of worship. Right? Now, we must be careful. We must be careful not to make our way of living or our way of worship a kind of ordinance. But it is not so easy. So what? So on our side, we shouldn't make any way of our living, any way of our worship, an ordinance. On their side, you see, whatever they do, don't consider that as an ordinance. Could you follow me? That may be an ordinance, but you shouldn't consider that as an ordinance. Wow. You see, if we would practice these, there'd be no problem. Now, I tell the truth, the Lord's recovery is spreading worldwide, right? If you go to Korea, one kind of living. If you go to Japan, another kind of living. If you go to Indonesia, another kind of living, right? It's hard for the Lord recovery to require all the Koreans, Japanese, Indonesian, all take the same way of living. It's impossible. You see the point? It's impossible. Then, we all know this, our way of living affects the way of meeting very much. Am I right? The way of living very much. In Korea, it is so easy to have the morning watch. 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, no problem. But I tell you, if here in this country, you practice for 30 morning watch, you just kill everybody. Am I right? I don't like to touch too many things because this matter of the way of living is very touching. The globe is so small. Am I right? And all the peoples are what? Interchangeably mixed. My point is, this is sovereign of the Lord. To have the new man. To have a proper church life with all different peoples. Then, what shall we require? I tell you, we all have to learn not to require anything. Not to require of anything. You see? We all must get ourselves ready. Right? Regards to Indonesia, regards to Singapore, regards to Thailand, regards to Burma, regards to Japan, to Korea, to whatever. We have no ordinance. We just have no ordinance. Right? This is the church life. We all have to realize what caused the differences between the races, the peoples. Babel. Am I right? Babel. Babel. Now, in the Lord's economy of the church life, we must overcome Babel. We must hate any kind of differences and try the best to go along with others, as long as they don't have idol, they don't have immorality. That's okay. That's okay. As long as there's no idol, no immorality, everything is okay. Am I right? We must learn this. We must hate any kind of differences. We don't keep any prestige. Then there is the possibility for the Lord to have the proper church life. Don't forget, this breaking down of the middle wall is a preparation for what? For the new man.